Hi guys, I'm Kasha. Welcome to the channel and welcome as always to our coffee times to discuss books and horror. And today I'm here to bring you my October wrap up.
It's coffee time!
October was not too bad, but also not the best month I've ever had. I did manage to read 7 things. There is a lot of YA that I read in the month of October. I didn't get to all the books I wanted, but I'm here to talk to you about the ones that I did manage to read. If you're new here, welcome to our coffee times. Since basically my blood type is coffee, we like to rate our books with coffee mugs, and I always start with the lowest rating to the highest, so we always end up on a positive note. Let's start with Channel Fear by Lisa Richardson. And this is a book that I was really excited about. I had not seen many people talking about it, but I came across it and it caught my attention because it is about YouTubers that have these typical channels where they do paranormal investigations. They go to these places that are supposed to be haunted and they film it, and I thought it would be such a cool theme for a book, so I picked it up, and it is, about that. It is about Iris, and she has these YouTube channel where, together with two of her best friends, they go to haunted places and they put up blogs about it, trying to catch, the spirits and the ghosts on camera. So Iris is a super big fan of Lucas and Zach. They have the biggest paranormal channel on YouTube. They are superstars. And one day they go missing. Nobody knows where they went to investigate, which kind of haunted place they went to, but they seem to have just disappeared from the earth. And Iris decides it would be such a cool thing to, for the channel, go to all the different potential hunting places that Zach and Lucas could have went to when they disappeared, and see if they can figure out what happened to them or even find them. And so while they're doing this, they go to haunted houses and we get to see them, set up all the cameras, all the equipment, and try to find evidence that there are ghosts here amongst us. And I was kind of on for the ride for the first half, and then things started to get, not so great for me, because there is a love triangle in this book that I did not enjoy, and it's only simply because I didn't think it was needed for the plot, for the story, for the characters. I didn't see the need for it. I'm not against romance combined with horror, but for me it has to have a purpose, or at least not be so important. I felt like it took over the paranormal aspect of things, and that kind of bothered me a bit. But maybe other people really do enjoy to see more romance in horror, so this is something that might work for you. The other thing was that at the beginning I thought, it was really atmospheric, loved the description of the places, and I was so excited. But then I started to feel like it was getting a little bit repetitive for me. I know it's hard. It doesn't matter if you're writing a book or you are shooting a movie and you are in the same location for a very long period of time. It gets difficult to keep the viewers or the reader's attention, and I feel that's what happened to me. At some point it felt a little bit repetitive when it comes to the paranormal aspect of things. But, I was not mad about the ending or anything like that. I still feel like this is a solid read, and I would still say, try it if you don't mind a little bit of romance in your paranormal stories. But I was kind of hoping to love it a little bit more than I did. Now let's quickly address this next read, and that is Purple Hearts by Tess Wakefield. There is only one reason, and one reason only, why I bought and read this book. It's because Nicholas Galitzine did the movie on Netflix, and I am currently trying to watch all the movies and TV shows that Nicholas and Taylor have been in. So Nicholas Galitzine and Taylor Zagar Perez are the two main characters in Red Wine, Royal Blue, just for you to know. So I checked Purple Hearts on Netflix. I enjoyed it for where it was, but I was curious about the book. So I bought the book and I read it. So first of all, I read the book before I watched the movie because I thought, that's the way I want to go about it. So I read the book. So the book is about Cassie. She is currently struggling financially. She also has been diagnosed with diabetes, and she needs a lot of money for medicine that she cannot afford. And she's also an aspiring musician. On the other side, we have Luke. He also has money problems at the moment after struggling for a long time with addiction. And they both need money. They both hate each other when they meet, but they decide that if they fake a relationship, they can get money from the government, because if you marry in the military, you get like a bonus. So you get like 2,000 extra a month or something, plus all the health benefits. So this is a fake relationship to lovers kind of scenario. And I love either enemies to lovers or fake relationship to lovers. I do love those tropes, and this kind of has both because they hate each other, plus they fake a relationship. But I have to tell you, the Cassie that we get in the book was a lot more annoying to me and made decisions that I just could not understand. The Cassie in the movie, I was rooting for her. So this is one of those weird cases that even though I liked and respect the original material, I thought the movie did it better. I thought it did it better, which is very interesting. It doesn't always happen. But yeah, normally I don't read this type of books. But yeah, I decided to read it because I really wanted to watch the movie, and if I know there's a book, I kind of feel compelled to read it first. Then I read Dark Harvest by Norman Patridge. I mean, this is such a change from Purple Hearts to this. So this is all based on Halloween night, and there is this little tiny town that has a legend about the October boy, and every Halloween the teenage boys, let's say, of this small town have to go out and try to catch the October boy and kill him before the night is over, before midnight. And so this is kind of like a game that they play every year, but as you keep reading about it and kind of learning what actually the October boy is, where it originated from and what it means, the story gets darker and darker, and it's very disturbing and it's quite messed up. And I really enjoyed all of that, plus the Halloween vibe. This is a great book that you can read on Halloween. Also, you can read this in one sitting because it's not very long. My only complaint about this was that there is like not a really good division when it comes to POVs, and it got quite confusing to me at the very beginning. I think until you get kind of settled with the story and the characters and you start understanding who is who, at the beginning everything gets mixed a little bit together. So I kind of wish we would have had a more straightforward POV storytelling so that it wouldn't have been so confusing. I mean, maybe it's just me, but that's the feeling that I got. But nevertheless, this is a great Halloween and October spooky read. Moving on to 16 Souls by Rosie Talbot, and this is a buddy read that I did with Melina. She contacted me, asked me to buddy read this with her, and she's been so patient with me because it has taken me ages at times to get back to her. This month of October has been crazy, but thank you so much, Melina, for contacting me and doing this buddy read, because it has been a lot more fun to read this book together, and we both loved it, which is a great thing when you're doing a buddy read if both of you love the book. This is such a beautiful story about ghosts, but also about friendships, not just friendships between humans, but also friendships between ghosts and between humans and ghosts. And the world building was so rich and so beautiful, and the ghosts were done in such a different way that, you know, I was really impressed. The book is also, you know, about accepting who you are. We have Charlie. He's a teenager. He is a seer, which means that, you know, after he had a near-death experience, he basically woke up and was able to see the dead, so he can see ghosts. And from the very beginning, you know, he's telling you how he's able to tell who is a ghost and who is not, and, you know, if a ghost is from a specific time period, then it's easier to spot them. And I just felt like it was so nice how Rosie already introduced the ghost and the world from the very beginning, from that very first chapter, and she did it in such a natural way. And then Charlie meets Sam, who just moved to town, and he is also a seer. So Charlie has never met someone like him before, and they start this kind of like, not really a hate relationship, but they're also not the best of friends at the beginning. They have different positions in life, and they are a little bit opposite in some things, but at the same time, they end up having to work together to save the ghosts, because the ghosts are in danger. So they have to team up even they don't like each other so much. And I love to see their chemistry develop and the way their relationship was kind of flourishing throughout the book. The book also gets quite dark. There were many great moments. There is a whole scene in a cemetery that I thought was fantastic. So this book has a lot of different elements that readers are gonna enjoy. You have a beautiful love story, you have friendship, you have different type of ghosts. The ghost world is fantastic. I love how Rosie built that up, and it has its own rules and everything is so unique. It has also a little bit of humor, it has a lot of heart, there is some grief in it, and also scary moments, so it just had everything. I'm really excited to go to book 2 now that is also published. Probably I will have to wait after the month of November, but this was such a good read. If you're looking for a YA paranormal romance book and a different take on ghosts, definitely pick it up. Then we have Wise Creatures by Deidre Sullivan, and I had already read Perfectly Preventable Deaths by her, and the same thing that I felt with that book, I felt with this one. I felt like she has such an amazing way of developing characters and making them so real, and her writing is beautiful. With this one, with this new book, she has outdone herself. Like, the writing from the very beginning is so gripping, so beautiful, but the story that she's telling is so dark and is full of grief. It was heartbreaking. This book might destroy you. It does have some trigger warnings, so please do check beforehand. This is a story about how things can haunt people to the point that you become sick, and how that haunting takes over your life, the people that you love, the places that you live in. So it's kind of saying that it's not exactly places that are haunted, but the people that live in them, and how that affects the place and makes the places also kind of haunted. And I just love that idea. Plus, the writing, like I said, is absolutely stunning. We have Daisy here. She has lost her parents, so she has to move in with her aunt Susan and her cousin Nina, and she has to, you know, get used to a new school, living with her aunt, but she kind of takes her cousin as her sister, and they have this beautiful relationship that is until Nina feels that she's hunted. She's convinced that there are some ghosts, something there in the house that is hunting her. And everything kind of takes off from there, and the story gets darker and darker when you get to the end. It's this big revelation of something that you kind of saw coming, but you kind of wished it wouldn't be true. And it was just so beautiful. But it's full of grief and it's quite sad. So I would say pick this book up when you are in a good space mentally, because it's quite hard. Then of course I read A Taste of Darkness, which is the YA short horror story compilation that came out this year as well. And these are all YA authors, and I absolutely love it. The majority of the authors that are here I already knew, and I had already read something by them, but it was really interesting to see what they would do with a short horror story, or what they would do if they could push the boundaries a little bit further, because some of the stories here are quite intense and gruesome for a YA. I would say there's something a little bit for everyone here. My favorite stories, funny enough, were the first one and the last one. I mean, I love so many, it was so hard to choose, but I would say like the ones that had the most like impact were the first one, which was written by Rosie Talbot, and the last one, which is one of the shortest ones, and it is by Cynthia Murphy. But honestly, everyone's stories were amazing, so definitely pick it up if you haven't yet. And now let's talk about my new favorite book, and that is All That's Left in the World by Eric J. Brown. And I'm so happy that I read this before going to YALC. I kind of had a feeling I was gonna love this book, but I was putting it off and putting it off, and I finally got it. I had it already on my Kindle, but I wanted a physical copy to take to YALC, and I finally read it, and I am so glad that I read it, and I get to meet the author after reading it, because I absolutely love this book. This book has my heart. This book was a roller coaster of emotions. This book made me laugh, made me feel happiness, made me almost cry. Like, this book was brutal for my feelings and for everything, and I absolutely loved it. This is a post-apocalyptic world in which there was a virus that spread, and kind of like 90% of population has died, and there's only a few people left in the world, and two of them are these two teenage boys that have been left alone because all the family members started to die one by one until they had nobody else left, and they are trying to kind of figure out how to survive in this post-apocalyptic world. The resources are starting to disappear. There's not much left at stores and places that they can steal for eating and other things, and destiny has it that one day they end up meeting. At first they are a little bit scared because they don't know who's dangerous and who's not. This is one of these kind of scenarios like The Walking Dead, but without zombies, in which you have a post-apocalyptic world, and honestly the thing you should be more scared of is humans. And this book also goes a little bit deeper into that, into who can you trust, who can you not trust, is it worth it to trust people in this kind of scenario. So these two teenage boys meet, and they unexpectedly also have feelings for each other. And it's so beautiful, and you see them going through this devastated world and full of dead bodies and dangerous people, dangerous places, and they have to go through so much. This book is quite dark, and it dives deeper into grief and what it means to lose your loved ones, and at the same time you have this beautiful relationship that is blossoming between them, that is kind of friendship, but they also know that there's other feelings there, and it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful, you guys. And the book is told from the two boys' perspective, so you're gonna have chapters from Jamie's perspective and chapters from Andrew's perspective, and that made it also so much better because you were really in their heads and were able to understand their decisions, their thought process, things that they had gone through but the other one didn't know about yet. You were able to hear the thoughts on how they felt about each other before they were able to say it out loud, and it was perfection. And needless to say, I'm super excited to meet the author at Yelk. I already bought the other book that I found by him. I'm taking it with me as well. Yeah, but this is a 5 for me, like a 5 coffee mug read for me, and I'll probably reread this at some point, maybe even annotate it. This book was fantastic. So these were, you guys, the books that I managed to read in the month of October. Let me know down below if you read these books, what you thought of them, and also what is the best book that you got to read in the month of October, in Halloween month. Let's talk about it in the comments. Thank you guys as always so much for watching, and I hope to see you all, as always, in our next coffee time. Bye!